If you're new to Dynasty, if you've been playing Dynasty for a decade, eventually you have to ask yourself, when do I have to pull the plug on this rookie wide receiver that didn't pan out, right? Is it year 2? Is it year 3? How long or how short is too short to say this guy's not going to make it for fantasy purposes in the NFL? The answer is probably a lot sooner than you think. We know pretty early on if these guys are going to pan out or not, basically regardless of circumstance. So let's look at it. Let's get into the data of why you need to be selling your rookie wide receivers that do not pan out. So to start, we are looking at wide receivers drafted since 2011 in rounds 1 to 3. On top of that, we're seeing which of them fell underneath 500 receiving yards as a rookie. Don't care why it happened. Doesn't matter if they were injured all year, if they played 10 games and got hurt. If they played 16 games, doesn't matter. Don't care what the quarterback is. Don't care what the situation was. We're just looking at the yardage marker, 500. That's all we care about. And then from there, we're looking at year 2 and seeing which of those guys actually went over 750 yards in year 2. The reason we pick that is that's become a general baseline for guys that either maintain value or increase value after a down rookie year. Because really what we're trying to pinpoint is, does it make sense to hold these really bad rookie wide receivers if they're not going to gain value in year 2 and they're likely going to be cheaper heading into their 3rd season? So now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into the data itself. From 2011 to 2022, 176 wide receivers have been drafted in the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd round. Of those 176 wide receivers, 91 did not go over 500 yards as a rookie. Of those 91, only 7 wide receivers went over 750 yards in year 2. That's it. That is 7.7%. Less than 1 in 10 are coming out in year 2 and putting up not even big numbers. They're putting up mediocre numbers for a year 2 wide receiver. Subsequently, if they're putting up less than 750 yards, there is almost a guarantee they are continuing to fall in dynasty rankings. That's the concern. That's the problem. It's not to say these guys will never be good, although objectively, most of these guys are never good. It's to say, why am I holding on to you for a 2nd season when I can trade you away, most times for a 2nd round pick still, and then if I'm still in, if I still really believe in year 3, even after 2 bad years, you can trade for them at an even cheaper price. So basically, we're trying to time up value games. And some of you might now be thinking though, right, who are the 7? Who are the 7 guys that managed to get out of this bust group, right? Surely they've gone on to have incredible careers. Well, let's look at the group. Alshon Jeffrey, who I think is undoubtedly the best wide receiver of this group, was a perennial wide receiver 2 for a number of years. Great career, I think, from a fantasy perspective. Then you also have Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb had 2 really good seasons and then a couple wide receiver 3 years. He was injured a lot. It didn't really pan out for Randall Cobb, but I don't think he's a bad wide receiver in any respect. Then you have Kenny Golladay. Gave us 2 good seasons. You have DJ Chark. Gave us a good season. You have Van Jefferson. You have Corey Davis. You have Josh Palmer. Basically, it's a bunch of guys who just never turned into anything outside of Alshon Jeffrey, really. It's a bunch of wide receiver 3s and 4s and worse. That's really what this came out to be. And I know we're already going to get the comments, right? Well, Davante Adams falls into this group. He did not go over 750 yards in year 2. He was under 500 yards in year 1. You're absolutely right. And if you sold Davante Adams after year 1 and you still believed after year 2, you were going to get him for basically free in year 3. The same goes with Nico Collins, right? Nico Collins failed to hit both marks as well. Nico Collins would have cleared 750 in year 2 if he wasn't injured. But again, we're not filtering that out. We on this channel, though, still talked about buying Nico Collins this offseason. It's not that we just take these guys off our list. You have to apply nuance. And basically, Nico Collins was wide receiver 61 this offseason in ADP. He was free. We talked about it in the offseason. And when we look at last season, while the overall statistics are not exciting, the peripherals are exactly where I want them to be for a wide receiver that could, break out or at least gain a ton of value heading into 2024. He is starting to see the ball at a much higher clip, at least relative to his rookie season. And now you factor in, you have CJ Stroud. Brandon Cooks is gone. His main competition is John Mechie, coming back from cancer, which is not a small feat. You have Robert Woods, you have Xavier Hutchinson. There's a lot going on here where it starts to look as if Nico Collins should be the focal point of this pass game. So you can still go out and buy these guys if you believe, if you are still in, you're just getting them at a massive discount after selling them with the expectation of a very predictable down second year. And while the season isn't over yet, we did basically include the wide receivers from 2022 into this group. So they're in that 176 wide receivers. The wide receivers from that 2022 group, let's go through them because this just further proves our point that the situation doesn't really matter all that much. First, Treylon Burks. I remember when I included him in this video for our members, I've tweeted this out, got a ton of pushback on Treylon Burks. Right? You have to consider the quarterback play. He was injured. He was in and out of the lineups, all these other things. Okay, well, he was in and out of lineups this year as well. Quarterback play issues continued. But even then, he was just a bad wide receiver when he was on the field. There wasn't a ton to really like. And now he's going to be significantly cheaper than he was at the end of last offseason. So if you still believe, if you're still in, you can go buy him at a massive discount. But selling Treylon Burks at the end of year one was undoubtedly the correct move. Next up, we have David Bell. I mean, he probably couldn't sell him last year anyways, but didn't do anything this year. You have Tyquan Thornton. Probably couldn't sell him. Maybe you had a Patriots fan. What were you going to do there? Velus Jones. Terrible. Wan'Dale Robinson. Obviously coming back from an ACL tear, but he's not even over 500 yards. And again, week 18 hasn't happened yet, but he's not over 500 yards yet. So his value has undoubtedly dropped as well. You have Jalen Tolbert, who was dead in the water in year one. Nobody was buying him. And then the big one, the one that all of you, or a lot of you argued with me all offseason, Sky Moore.
But Justin, he's he was coming from a small school. The ramp-up time was going to take more. He's an Andy Reid system. Year two wide receivers do great in Andy Reid system. All these things, right? 1,000 narrative-based pieces.
Sky Moore is an utter bust.
Excuse me.
Burn! 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 Burn.
Again, you want to buy low? Now's your opportunity. He's free. He lost value from year one. So again, this whole group, it has just gone poorly. And you may notice I haven't mentioned Jameson Williams. Sure, we don't even need to put Jameson Williams in the 2022 group, although if we did on only 6 games, obviously he missed 500 yards. He's going to miss the 750 yard mark in 2023 pretty easily. But for the sake of this video and just the point I'm trying to prove here, we're going to put Jameson Williams in the 2023 rookie class. The guys in 2023 drafted in rounds 1 to 3 with under 500 yards as rookies, at least right now, would be 1, Jameson Williams. Again, obviously 2022, just talked about it. We get it. You have Michael Wilson, could get over the line in week 18. He has other concerns. You have Jonathan Mingo. You have Quentin Johnston. You have Marvin Mims, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, Trey Tucker. John Mechie is another, obviously. It's not his true rookie season technically, but we're going to include him in the sample as well. All of these players are sell candidates this offseason. You can get value out of Jameson Williams, Michael Wilson for sure, Jonathan Mingo, Quentin Johnston, cut bait. That one's just dead. Marvin Mims, you can get value. Jalen Hyatt, you can get value. Trey Tucker, probably not. John Mechie, probably not. But there's a large list of guys here that people believe in because you can point to all of them and give a reason for why they didn't perform. But again, of the 91 guys, a lot of them have reasons like this, right? Bad quarterback play, injuries, offensive line didn't let them surpass whatever the hell metric you want to talk about, right? They couldn't get down the field and they're a deep threat. None of it really matters all that much. We can spin narratives. The numbers are painting a very, very different picture here. So I am selling each and every one of them. I think that's the right move. Their individual value is going to depend on your league. It's going to depend on how many truthers you have for each of these players because they all exist. I encounter them every day on Twitter. They are all out there. All of these players can be sold for something. It's just a matter of getting the right value. And then keep in mind, if you do believe in them, even after their second season and it goes poorly inevitably, buy them cheaper. That's okay to do. It's not saying they are banished forever from fantasy. But right now, the track record is not great. And that is why we here at DLF cut the cord on a lot of rookie wide receivers at the end of their rookie season. Because the data just points to, I'm going to be able to get them a lot cheaper in year 3 if I still believe. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to save value. An extra second round pick where you can go trade a third in 2025 for one of these guys. That's what we care about, helping you guys build rosters and make sure you're not carrying dead weight each and every season.